What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Friday. Glad to have everybody along, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as the Titans are getting set to head out to LA to face against the LA Chargers. The first time they'll play the Chargers in LA at SoFi Stadium and see if the Titans can get to 2-0 in SoFi Stadium. And that would be a big feat because the Titans desperately need a win. Never had 4 consecutive losses under head coach Mike Vrabel. And right now, the Titans a 2.5-point underdog against the Chargers. And we'll talk through several stats today, including a ridiculous stat that the Titans lead the NFL in yet again. And we'll talk about is it an excuse or a reason for the recent 3-game losing streak and really what this season has turned into as a whole. So we'll discuss that off the top of the show, go through the Thursday injury report that is growing in one direction. We'll discuss that, some players who might be up in the air when it comes to their status in terms of Sunday's game in LA against the Chargers. Then we're going to flip it to some positivity. We're going to ask you guys a question. What do you feel best about in the Titans' attempt to beat the Chargers in LA? And Zach, I did some digging. I feel pretty good about what I'm going to answer that question with. I've got some stats to back it up. A trend that I found in the Chargers' last 4 losses. So I think the Titans are set up to take advantage of that trend in the Chargers' last 4 losses. Then it's a Friday, which means we always wrap up our work week with Ain't That Good News. So let's get this thing rocking and rolling on a Friday morning. Welcome in.
Yep. Friday. It's one step closer to the weekend, and we got a lot to discuss today. And, on the horizon of what this Titans game represents for the course of their season and making the playoffs, it's a big game, a very big game. They got to get back on track. We'll find out if they are able to do that. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We'll also tweet out segment by segment that YouTube link. A lot more people are watching on YouTube as our YouTube subscribers grow, which is great. Continue to make them grow. If you've already subscribed to YouTube, our YouTube channel, well, congratulations. You've done your job. You've provided value to the community. Now you got to go like the show. If you watch on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button on this video. It'll help YouTube circulate it to more Titans fans. That's what we want. We want more people in the comment section. We want more and a bigger community to ask them questions like we always do, whether it's our live streaming shows during the week on morning or prime time, or our pregame, halftime, postgame shows on game day. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button or like the video. And also on Facebook, bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. Sharing is caring on Facebook, and caring is sharing, as we say on this show. Share around. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. That distributes what we need to get more Titans fans involved on Facebook. So more people are going to be piling in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. You guys know what to do. Let's get this party started on a Friday.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media, as we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show on our Twitter timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok as well. Guys, thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us and they help out you. Like Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process by going to see them in Lebanon or simply at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And also Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans, better coverage, rates, and service. Learn more about a health plan for you, fbhp.com/ATOZ. And Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call Hughes and Coleman for a free case consultation, 800-800-4600. So, Zach, I did see a couple comments earlier on that this is the best you can spike your hair. This is basically all you've got, right? Like, if there's moments where I am lose a bet where I have to grow a mustache or grow a beard like we've done in the past, that was the best I could do. It's out of my control. This seems like with your current haircut, this is kind of what you got, right?
Yeah, and
little faux hawk action.
Well, I'm 35, and I say that, I guess in confidence and a little bit of fear, who knows? But you start to get a little bit grayer as you own your own company, and you get a lot of So you got to cut it a little bit short to hide the grays. I'm not afraid to say it. I say what it is. And so I've had this shorter haircut for now a few years. I would love to go long hair. I had long hair down to my, like probably down here at one point, but
yeah, I forgot about that.
You forgot about that,
Yeah,
right? That was back in the day. But that's when I didn't have to worry about the grays creeping up in my younger 20s. Now, things have changed in my life. And so I got a lot more stress in my life. So I keep it short to not have to worry about it. And then as you know, like we get up and like we're working from, when I open my eyes, I don't have time to like do my hair. That is something that I do not and will not prioritize at this point in my life. Now, who knows? When I go through a midlife crisis, like my dad kind of looked like Kenny Rogers back in the day, that kind of look. I may go through a midlife crisis and grow my hair out like Kenny, grow a goatee, and just be all the silver fox.
Yeah,
but I'm not getting there right now.
Scott says just wait till you're 50, Zach. And Scott's just said get rid of it. Scott's just rolling there. And then our girl Liz says new A to Z sponsor just for men. Touch of gray, maybe for Zach.
I don't know. I need to get the gray out. I have a touch of gray. I don't need a touch of gray.
Oh man. All right. Well, the Titans have a lot of guys not practicing throughout the week, and it continues to grow. And the title of the show is the Titans lead the NFL in one ridiculous stat yet again. And we all know what happened last year when the Titans used over 90 guys to complete a 17-game regular season. They won 12 games. They were the number one seed in the AFC. And now the Titans are not, they're not, I don't think they're on that pace to break that record of most guys played in an NFL season, but they're leading the NFL in one ridiculous metric that is called man games lost. So here's the graphic for this: man games lost. So total games missed by players due to injury. And you see on the bottom axis of this, the horizontal, the Titans have missed over 225 games due to injury. So every game that Harold Landry has missed counts as one. He has missed 13 games now. So Harold Landry is responsible for 13. Taylor Lewan is responsible for 11, and so on and so forth. They have missed so many games. Look how far ahead they are of everybody else in the NFL in man games lost this season. The Denver Broncos are second, yet they are a lot, have less than half the wins that the Titans have. And the Titans in that blue circle means they're leading their division. The size of the circle means the importance of man games lost. So, I think it's pretty impressive that the fact that the Titans are that far ahead in most games lost due to injuries from players and still have that blue circle leading the division. Zach, what stands out to you the most when you're looking at this graphic?
Well, I think it's the gap, right? It's the gap between of how far Tennessee is. And, like in a horse race, that's a good thing when your horse is out that far ahead. In this graph, it's not. That's not a good thing. And so, that I think that's what stands out to me. But, regardless of what that is, we've talked about the talentless roster of this team. So you combine the not very good talent and trading away one of your best players in AJ Brown and drafting rookies to try to replace said player. And then here is something that I'd be curious where maybe it will pull up this, the top left corner. This is the start of the season, correct? So my question was and is, does this involve Harold Landry or no?
I would think it does because Harold Landry got hurt after training camp was over. Harold Landry got hurt in week 1 preparation. So that's what I would say. That it should include Harold Landry.
He didn't start the season, right? I actually don't think that it does. What does it say the top left corner? I cannot see it.
It says NFL week 14, man versus injury versus team wins. I'll pull it up and again.
So it doesn't. That would be my one question, because Harold Landry's impact to this season is great. They just paid the man $80 million. They chose him in free agency over AJ Brown. They literally did, as far as money. Now, there's nuance to that because of when he was signed, but we all know what happened. He didn't get an opportunity to play a single snap this year. And we know the injuries. I think the hard part for me, Austin, is this is the second straight year. So if this is the second straight year, is this a bigger problem, right? Or, injuries happen. I say it every single year when anybody says, well, we're so hurt. Oh, no, well, our guys are out. Everybody's guys are out. Brock Purdy is playing on Thursday Night Football because the San Francisco 49ers have had both starting quarterbacks get hurt out for the season. So, don't really talk to me about injuries. This is telling. I will say that. But this is the second year in a row.
It is the second year in a row, and it's not that, injuries happen, but not everybody's hurt because look at the Jags, and several of you guys have brought up the Jags. The Jags are by far, the least injured team in football, but only have 5 wins to show for it. And you can even see how, the Jags injuries that they have had clearly are not that relevant because their bubble is that tiny where you can't even really see it. So
but they were the worst team in the league last year, right? We know the state of the Jacksonville Jaguars, what they represented, what this season was going to represent for them. So it doesn't matter if healthy players or injured players. They were going to be bad.
They've stayed healthy at a ridiculous rate. That is as unlucky as the Titans have been in getting hurt. The Jags have been lucky. That is maybe 10 to 15 games missed from injuries through 14 weeks. That is just such a low injury rate that is so abnormal when it comes to the sport of football. So, and then we get to, today's injury update for the Titans. And I'm going to bring up the CVS receipt that is the Titans Thursday injury report. And it's pretty daunting, Zach, because CJ Board, Traylon Burks, Christian Fulton, Dontrell Hilliard did not practice either day at all. Robert Woods was back after missing with an illness. Then you have limited guys that downgraded like Nate Davis, Derrick Henry, not injury related. Amani Hooker was a downgrade. And then Jeffrey Simmons also goes from limited to did not practice of a downgrade. So, some of these guys on this list, like Ben Jones, like Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, are maintenance throughout the season of trying to handle and deal with some nagging situations and also not running Derrick Henry into the ground on a Thursday practice for no reason. But you're seeing Nate Davis go from a limited participant to a not practice. You're seeing Jeffrey Simmons do the same thing. You're seeing a lot of guys not being able to break through, like Christian Fulton and Amani Hooker continually dealing with injuries. This is a crazy situation yet again for the Titans. And you're right. I think the biggest concern is it's happened back-to-back years. And it's happening with different guys. There has been roster turnover. It's not like it's the same guy who is dealing with injuries in back-to-back seasons. It's all types of different dudes who are dealing with it throughout the last couple of seasons.
Is that happenstance? Let's do the 2 years. Let's not do, we're going to ask a question that is relevant to what we're talking about now. But is this, we always, and I remember back in the day, and Titans fans, the chat will remember this, when Corey Davis is a hamstring, everybody had a hamstring. And then, so you started to open your eyes. You're like, what is this a strength and conditioning problem? Do you feel like it's that after 2 years of this same stuff?
I don't think so, because during the hamstring season, it was a lot of hammies. This is a lot of unfortunate, in my opinion, because you've got multiple concussions on there. You got 3 knees. You only have 1 hamstring and a groin, right? So there's just 2 soft tissue situations in this entire list. A lot of ankles, knees, concussions, ribs, hip. These are physical injuries, not soft tissue muscle pulls for the most part. Like Jeffrey Simmons and Ryan Tannehill, they had their ankles
they got rolled up on
that, and Traylon Burks' turf toe from earlier in the year, just something that happens when you have a 275-pound guy land on your foot in a bad way. It just happens. The concussions, nothing you can do about it. somebody else hits you in a
You
spot.
playing football.
Yeah. So I don't really think it's the case, but again, it's the second type of thing. And Caleb does say, and he's right, knees can be impacted by weak hips, quads, hamstrings, etc. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the first thing you do when you're rehabbing the ACL is to try to make those muscles around the knee stronger, because the stronger your quads, your other muscles are for your hamstrings are for that knee, it helps prevent those injuries. But I also don't think the knee injuries the Titans are dealing with, like Danico Autry got rolled up on. He's playing defensive line and somebody got tabletopped, and that stuff happens. That's not like, I think Danico Autry's quads are plenty strong. I don't think there's, so that's where it's so confusing, because I don't know where to point the finger, and I can't just say, well, yeah, it's just been really bad luck, because that's also weak analysis.
All right. So we've had that conversation. I'll give credit to Dom. He's given some jackpot bucks. This is a good question, because he goes not necessarily from the whole scope of what we're talking about, but Dom says, do you think it's strange that almost every rookie gets a serious injury every year? Are they bad at getting guys acclimated to the pros? So if you look back, what I think Dom is referencing, there has been rookie injury pretty consistently over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this in off seasons where you've got pre-draft process that is like training for track and field events, and just trying to get strong and build muscle, get yourself twitchy, where you can do cone drills and 40-yard dashes and bench presses, which have nothing to do really with football activity. So that's where soft tissue happens there. And you're also training a lot for combines and pro days and draft process and visits, where you're wearing yourself down off of because here's the reality. When you're playing a college football season, you're not as nutritionally prepped as you are in the NFL. And then when you wrap up that last football season in college, you go directly in getting ready for Senior Bowl, for combine, for pro day, for visits, and other private workouts. You're working yourself too much. And then once you get to a NFL practice schedule, now you're worn down. And then guess what? The season's 5 extra games than what you're used to. And so, yeah, I definitely think that happens naturally, but I don't know if that's a Titans problem or an NFL just, growing up problem.
Well, let me dive a little deeper into that, which I find this a little eye-opening. The last time the Titans had a first-round pick play all 16 games in their rookie season was 2016 All-Pro Jack Conklin. 2016. Now, and I thought that was the case, and I wanted to go back to make sure that I was correct. The following year, 2017, Corey Davis had a hamstring. He missed games. Rashaan Evans, hamstring. Started out slow that year in 2018. Jeffrey Simmons missed games because he was coming off of the ACL. Didn't start really until the Chargers game, coincidentally, that year in his rookie season. Isaiah Wilson was just a terrible overall pick and maybe the worst in NFL history.
Yeah.
Caleb Farley, hurt,
ACL.
Yeah. Treylon Burks missed multiple games. These are first-round picks that we all know who got picked. But Dom, you're getting the love of the show for bringing this up.
You missed one guy.
2016.
Dory Jackson, 2017, played in all 16. He was the second first-round pick.
Okay, so 0.5. That's a half. You don't get a full for that. That's a half.
How? No.
And well, there's two.
No, he's a first-round pick. It's a first-round pick that played 16 games. No, it's just that's it. So your stat is no longer Jack Conklin. It's a Dory Jackson. That's what it is. You don't get a half point.
Still, it's terrible.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying you have to update it because you missed Adoree Jackson when you went through and counted the first-round draft picks who did not play in 16 games when Adoree did. Adoree played in 16 games his first 2 seasons before injury started to steal games away from him, where he only played in 3 his last year as a Titan.
But this is a problem. And if you're not getting anything out of your best rookies, like maybe that's one of the reasons why, because guys are going to get hurt, But if your rookies are always getting hurt, then you have no depth. And when you have no depth, I think that's when you blink twice and you look at this, right? This is why it is. And John Robinson, when he was general manager, he was getting guys off the streets. I mean, that was his philosophy at times. And look, at times he was doing the best that he could. At other times he was making bad decisions. Yeah. But like, I do think that this is a bigger problem overall. And maybe that's why the person that was picking the roster got fired.
All right. And Gino says, Austin, your comments about training are completely wrong. I want to show Austin, your comments on training are way off, very wrong. And then Gino says, that's the other comment from Gino I wanted to bring up here. He says, no, Austin, you're not worn down. Offseason is there to help the long haul of the season. Gino, you weren't paying attention, buddy. I said rookies. We're having a conversation about rookies. When guys leave college, they don't have an off season because they've got Senior Bowl and other things like the Senior Bowl. They've got the combine they're training for, their pro day they're training for, private workouts they're training for, and they're doing different types of training instead of football workouts. In the off seasons between their last college year and the draft, there is no down time to get ready for the season. That's the whole point of the conversation we're having there. So I am right on this, Gino. That's veterans get that downtime to get themselves ready. You're trying to improve your draft stock with several key dates throughout the spring to get yourself as much money as possible. You don't have downtime. You got to be in peak condition throughout every month, whether it's February, March, or in April for the draft.
We're about to get to our question, but Patricia asked, can you tell us what's going on with Kyle Phillips? I mean, Kyle Phillips has literally, ever since that hamstring, is kind of a ghost hamstring in practice, and like we hadn't seen him anymore. IR. I mean, what's going on with Kyle Phillips?
Yeah, a shoulder injury that happened when it comes to that first game against the Giants, and then he missed it some time after the Bills game. Then the hamstring popped up, and he's dealing with both. It seems like it's a shoulder and a hamstring, but that's
got to be the hamstring though that is keeping him out at this point. You feel that they're being more conservative with it.
Maybe I have no idea.
Look. Here's the philosophy, and this philosophy would make more sense if they would have beaten the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. Now you're just saving your guys. Now you're just literally trying to get healthy and trying to go make a run. But now you can't afford that because you don't even know if you're going to be able to make a run based on the state of the season. You were in a great spot with a stranglehold on the AFC South, and then all of a sudden you blink twice and you're not. You've got to, this is not a must-win game for the Chargers, but it would help. I mean, it would help in the long haul of health.
Yeah, and maybe Kyle Phillips is kind of getting a red shirt year. A guy who is always going to be undersized that maybe need to add a little bit more, and then the shoulder injury plus a hamstring.
But he wasn't set up to have a red shirt year. He was set up to impact, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was drafted to play.
But again, 5th round pick. You have to understand what 5th round picks are.
Well, when John Robinson's drafting them, you got to understand what 5th round picks are.
Yeah, but come on, dude. But again, Kyle Phillips was showing us in training camp that he was going to have a role. He showed us in week 1 that he was going to have a role in this offense, and he hasn't been able to because of multiple injuries. So let's go ahead and ask this question, Zach, to get everybody more involved. Is the Titans injury situation a reason or excuse for where their season is currently at? Is the Titans injury situation a reason or excuse for where their season is actually at? And, we always talk about injuries, and then I do the bone and joint update and read here. And that's not by design, but when you get hurt in life, you need to check out where to go to get back to health. And that is the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. I told everybody that I was dealing with plantar fasciitis in my foot this past summer. Went to go see Dr. Jeff Watson in Franklin at the Bone and Joint Institute. Got me back right where I can go run, I can lift, I can do workouts, whatever I want to do, because my foot feels better. And he helped me learn how to treat it myself at home. So he educated me and helped fix my injury. I waited 3 weeks too long to even go see Dr. Watson. So don't wait like I did. Take advantage of it. Go to the Bone and Joint Institute, get back to health, and don't just fight through it and be stubborn. boneandjointtn.org is where to go.
It is esports powered by BetMGM. Download the app Today, we talked to BetMGM this week. Man, we are excited about BetMGM and what all they can do. We've been excited for the last 2 years, and that excitement stays. And you got football coming this weekend. Risk-free bet up to $1,000 on pro football for new users. Download the app today in your Apple or Android store and get to going. And that means the promo code ATOZ Sports can hook you up. All one word in the promo code tab. Download the BetMGM app today.
All right, so the question we're asking right now is the Titans' injury situation a reason or an excuse for where their season is at currently? So a reason or an excuse for where their season is at currently. I'll show the graph one more time. Man games lost in the NFL. Shout out to @Man Games Lost NFL for putting these stats together. The Titans lead the NFL by far in games lost, missed for players missing with injuries by a large margin. They've got 7 wins, but by far the most games lost due to injury. So is it a reason or an excuse for where they're at this season? Zach, I will go ahead and send you to the comment section.
Bradley says excuse. Dominic says reason. Jeff goes excuse. A few reasons from Eddie, Scott, and Kendall. Excuse. All caps, exclamation point from Honky Tonk. Robert says reason. Billy says reason. 100% reason from Jerry. Memphis Mafia says reason. Dom says it's a reason. It's a huge reason from Guy. But Steven says excuses. Well, I'm not going to read that. Titans, Kyle says excuse. Aaron says reason. You almost got me there, Stephen King. I almost read that leather-bound book right there, and I'm not going to get got again. Clayton says reason. Van says reason. Noah says reason. It's a reason from Dylon. Karen says reason. I think it's a reason from Scott. 50% reason, 50% excuse, Jarvis.
Oh, Jarvis, get off the fence,
Jarvis.
No,
get out of here.
No.
Get out of here, Jarvis. Danny says reason. Excuse because John Robinson didn't sign or draft quality depth as backups, in Ronnie's humble opinion. Reason. Jeff says excuse. Both. Anthony, get out of here. Pick one. Deborah says excuse. It's a reason from Guy. So tons of comments coming in. Mr. Robinson says huge reason. Excuse from Lee. Won the division last year using more players.
I want to read another comment because Jay says this means they're being pushed too hard in practice. I think it. No, if you've been paying attention to how Mike Vrabel runs his practices, it doesn't matter what month they're practicing in May, June, July, August, or throughout the entire season. Mike Vrabel understands and values the maintenance of players' bodies and doesn't push them at all. If anything, he's more conservative. I think if you look at the graph we showed you about this week's injury reports at practice, I think a lot of those did not practice or because Mike Vrabel was helping the players manage. And so I disagree with that. So
I think what he's bringing up, there's 3 key guys that were injured during practice. You had Racing McMath earlier in the season, Kyle Phillips with a hamstring, and Harold Landry tore his ACL in practice. I'm speaking for him because I think this is where he's coming from. Those are 3 pretty big key injuries that happen in practice.
Yeah, but we've seen injuries always happen in practice.
Yeah, those are 3 big ones. Two wide receivers on a bad wide receiving core, and your highest paid defensive end that you signed in the offseason or outside linebacker.
Sure, Adoree Jackson got his injury in practice. Remember in the bubble during the COVID year when media wasn't around in the bubble or allowed in the bubble? Teddy Bridgewater had a near career-ending knee injury in practice several years ago.
I named 3 in 1 year.
I know. I'm just saying.
You're naming practice, 1 in singular years.
Yeah, but again, practice injuries happen. We both watched Jonathan Cyprien tear his ACL in practice. We both watched Byron Bell have his leg snapped in half in practice. It's not that they're not overworking these guys in practice. The Harold Landry ACL, because it happened in the closed portion of practice, it's probably just some fluke thing that he made a weird cut and it just popped. And there's no way or logical explanation of why it happened. Stuff happens like that. And in non-contact injuries, Kyle Phillips, he might have made a wrong cut in and out of a route and hamstring pulled a little bit. Maybe he was dealing with it already and that was the final straw there. So I don't think practice is the problem overall. So I think my answer to this question is I think it is a reason to an extent. I don't want to say, and I don't want to excuse other flaws that this team has, but the injury rate, it is a reason for where they are at right now. When you look at this defense, look at all the names on this report that are key defensive players. It's Christian Fulton, your best corner. It's Amani Hooker, a starting safety. Terrence Mitchell, who's played a ton of snaps this year. And then Jeffrey Simmons. And then you already know that Bud Dupree has missed in several games this year. David Long Jr. is on injured reserve as your best linebacker. Zach Cunningham isn't even on that injury report because he's designated to return and still on injured reserve. So I think the injury rate is a reason why the Titans are in a spot that they are. This offense was never going to be very good. It might have been this offense, if they were healthy, it might be a good offense, but it would never have been a very good offense or a great offense this season with the limited personnel. But injuries have taken a massive toll on the availability of good players. Dennis Daly has given up 7 sacks in the last 4 games. Taylor Lewan gave up less pressures in his last 4 games than sacks, right? Like Lewan would have been so much better at left tackle, but he goes down with another ACL. Burks, to no fault of his own, looks like he's going to miss his 6th game of the season due to fluke injuries of a turf toe and a concussion. And we know how that impacts the passing game and the lack of explosiveness. So I do think to an extent, it is a reason. I'm not excusing the flaws, but it is a reason.
So I'm probably going to surprise you, and I'm going to agree that it is a reason.
Okay.
And the reason why is, I think, what you said, but this team didn't have the talent. So if the talent is not that they have is not on the field, they're up, you know what's creek. I mean, they just are. They're between a rock and a hard place. If your number one, your pick that you traded to replace AJ Brown and help your offense is not consistently on the field, that's going to hurt you. And now Tannehill cannot throw to guys. Now, have been games where he has played and the offense has been inept. So there is that.
Yeah, but again, it's because and Burks missed time in the summer too, right? And what did Ryan Tannehill always talk about when AJ was dealing with injuries throughout last year? Because AJ, the last couple of seasons, was missing games here and there. He had a stint on injured reserve last year, but Ryan Tannehill says, we've got those banked reps from the last couple of off seasons that can get us back on track. Tannehill was unable to get and bank any reps with Treylon because of his unavailability really since he was drafted.
So the real reason is the way that the previous general manager constructed this season's roster. That is the real reason. Okay. So when you now put injuries involved at this rate, look at where Tennessee is on the far right of your screen. TEN. So if you're going to construct a roster that has as least a little amount of talent as this team does in a playoff window, right? Like that has to be also realized that this is the reason why you are sliding late in the season and you haven't been able to beat good teams with winning records. So without Jeffrey Simmons at times, without Danico Autry at times, without Treylon Burks and Kyle Phillips and Harold Landry and David Long Jr., I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. That's why. That's the reason why. So they set themselves up for failure and then they failed. So you can't be surprised or have an excuse on why you failed if it makes logical sense along the way.
Yeah, for sure. I want to dig deeper into that and talk about how, like, what we can talk about John Robinson's construction of the roster in the injury underlying situation too.
Well, I'm going to say this, and one of the things that got me to that point was Tress actually said, so how do you fix the injury? Strength and conditioning coach can't be blamed for it at all. It's a personnel injury. a new general manager could fix it.
Well, let's talk about that. Yeah, let's, and that's exactly where I want to go. So Trey, I liked your comment. I want to go back to that comment here a second. So to address it, but first, Zach, tell everybody about Farm Bureau health plans.
FBHP.com is where to go to get your new health plan. I got my health plan at the beginning of 2022. You can get your new health plan at the beginning of 2023. Oh, you could get it at the end of 2022. You could switch. That's the best part. You can switch your health insurance, whether it is, or your health plan, whether it is me as an individual, whether it's you with you got a family man, you may have 10 kids, 12 kids, 3 kids, 2 kids, 1 kid, doesn't matter. They have the perfect plan for you and your family. Health, dental, and vision, 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. And what they provide is better service at a better rate with better coverage. Man, it is so much better when you switch to Farm Bureau Health Plans. That's FBHP.com/ATOZ.
Zach, maybe after the new year, when you've been with Farm Bureau health plans for a full year, you can figure out like how many actual dollars you saved in 12 months from Farm Bureau health plans. Because I mean, you've gotten a lot of better coverage, and then I'm just
I
curious.
can tell you. I'd have to do some calculations, but
yeah, you can do some math off the air, because we always know live math usually doesn't end up being correct.
Yeah, that would be bad.
So that's just something, again, like this, to show how much money that you've saved on this plan and actually gotten better coverage for it. So anyway, don't forget, download the BetMGM app. Use our code ATOZ Sports. That gives you a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on Pro Football. So all the money you save on your health coverage from Farm Bureau health plans, you throw it in that BetMGM account and go make more out of it. That's how you do it right there with the BetMGM app, a risk-free bet up to $1,000 on Pro Football when you use our code ATOZ Sports. Do you have an answer for us?
I do. Over $400 I saved just this year alone for switching the plan. That doesn't even mean I got so much better of a plan too, right? So right. I paid less for a better plan. The other plan was bad. And look, health plans are tough to find. Good ones are, at least. But that's $400 that I am recouping literally this year with a better plan. That's no joke.
All right, so Tress asked this question. So how do you fix the issue? Strength and conditioning coach can't be blamed for all of it. It's personnel issues. The new GM can fix it. So how do we discuss John Robinson's role in the Titans injury situation and issues over the last couple of years? Because John Robinson, the fact is, he put together the last 2 years the most injured football teams in NFL history.
He picks the players.
Yes. So some of it is not John Robinson's fault. Some of it, just stuff happens, right? Like you talked about rolling down, you know what's creek. Well, you know what also happens too. But John Robinson also, and I mentioned this with Sam coming off of the John Robinson fired reaction conversations, that John Robinson, in my opinion, in some spots got too caught up in value. And the value of getting a player who has dealt with injuries, coming off of an injury, and thinking, well, the Titans only have to give up a 6th-round pick to get Robert Woods. The Titans gave a lot of money to Bud Dupree coming off of an ACL. And Bud Dupree told Buck Rising a couple weeks ago, and you can go hear that on the 615 Sessions podcast on the A to Z Sports Podcast Network. Bud Dupree admitted to Buck that his hip issues and the abdominal issues that he's had over the last 2 years as a Titan were all connected to the ACL. And so when you go give money or acquire players that might get you extra value because of their current injury situation, you're rolling and playing with some fire there. Caleb Farley is the same way, right? It was a gamble, and J-Rob thought the value was worth the gamble, and he got burned on it. And so there's some other things here and there, but you can't, like...
Well, do you think, I'll ask you, not okay. I think, but do you think that Jeffrey Simmons spoiled this?
No,
it stemmed a little bit further back from that, because I like Corey Davis had an ankle procedure before they drafted him. So like,
and I was gonna bring it. That's what I hesitated with, because I was gonna bring up Corey Davis, because Corey, like, I don't even know.
You didn't want to talk about old Corey?
No, I didn't want to go down a rabbit hole like we did yesterday and lose 30 minutes of our lives that we'll never get back. So Corey Davis, I don't think has ever run a official timed 40-yard dash. because of the ankle procedure that he's gone through in this pre-draft process. And once you get drafted, who cares what your 40 is? But the Titans were desperate in a spot where they had to have a wide receiver and they had the 5th overall pick. Buck also reported this after the fact. The Titans wanted to trade out of 5 to get Corey Davis a little bit later. Mike Williams was coming off of an injury at Clemson that was pretty serious. Mike Williams had back issues. So think about if the Titans drafted Mike Williams at 5 overall with a back issue that took time he's a better receiver right now than Corey is, but there was some serious
he's the best out of the 3. He had to take a year though, right?
But John Ross was the only healthy one. And John Ross is by far the worst of the 3.
Yes.
So that was a desperate situation with a team that sucked, right? The Titans sucked at that spot, and they were able to get a quality wide receiver. They overdrafted him, but they had to go do that in their situation. Then Jeffrey Simmons was a smart play. That was a smart drafting because it was an ACL on a bona fide stud in the draft.
But read that. That's what I'm asking.
And I think Trey has been pretty on point with his comments here. Again, that's where I think.
Do you think it's spoiled? Do you think the success of Jeffrey Simmons spoiled the mindset of the former Titans general manager?
I think Jeffrey Simmons' success of a draft pick allowed John Robinson to get a little cocky with it. Yes.
So I agree.
On top of the job security that John Robinson thought he had. Well, the contract that he's going to get, the money he's going to get paid over the next 4 years also there too.
Right.
So,
well,
it's the job that J-Rob was doing. The wins and seasons they were stacking and all the progress, and then it just fell apart because too many things went wrong.
Welcome to the industry.
Sure.
You can't get comfortable. No coach in the NFL is comfortable. There are people that have been fired after playoff appearances. There have been general managers that have been fired after being the number 1 seed in their respected conference. Like, you get canned if you do a bad job. This is a what have you done for me lately type league. It always has been and will continue to be.
And Zach, I said this probably starting 4 or 5 years ago when John Robinson got the Titans out of the irrelevant folder of the NFL and got them into playoff contention and in the playoffs year after year. What was my main line about John Robinson? It's easier to go from 3-13 to 9-7 than it is to go from 9-7 to consistently a Super Bowl contender in your conference.
And Austin, do you know what you have to do that?
A quarterback?
Bingo. That is how you do that. It's not anything else. We've seen it time and time again. And I will, again, I was out on Tannehill the second after the Bengals game. I gave him that shot. But that's the way that you go from 9-7 to 13-4. That's how you do it. It's with the quarterback. It's not with anything else. And to be honest, I don't know about Malik Willis. I have my doubts about Malik Willis from what I'm hearing and what we saw a little bit. You're going to have to find that guy, Austin, or you're going to fall right back down to 3-14.
Well, and that's the crazy thing about John Robinson's tenure is Malik Willis was the highest quarterback that he drafted in the 3rd round, 86th overall. And we also know that's not where you consistently find franchise quarterbacks. Well, yeah, there are a few. There are a few
busts later in rounds at quarterback. Remember old Cole McDonald, Luke Falk?
Oh God. Yeah. I mean, and again, I understand what those thought processes were, but again,
Brock Purdy's just winning games and he was Mr. Irrelevant, right?
No, I know, but they were, the Cole McDonald, I called at the time a waste of a draft pick. Now you wasted a 7th round pick, so it's not like it was the end of the world. That's not why John Robinson was fired. But John Robinson did make a brilliant move in trading for Ryan Tannehill to extend
to get to 9-7.
No, to get to 11-5 and 12-5.
To get to 11, okay, that's fair.
Marcus Mariota had you at 9-7, But and Tannehill got you out of 2-4 to 9-7 like that. The last 10 games that Tannehill got you in that 2019 season was phenomenal, and then set you up for this 3-year run. Now other failures around the quarterback have put you in this situation that now questions the future of the quarterback.
And here is the overarching issue, Austin. Time's up.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence is getting better. The Texans are about to draft Bryce Young. The division and the Colts are about probably to draft Will Levis, which will be hilarious. But that's the issue. The division, you're not going to get the courtesy. The Titans have gotten the courtesy this year of all of these teams being so bad. Their division is disastrous, and they are, at least the Titans are a good team. They are not anywhere better than that. That's just what they are.
Yeah, I think
they're a good team loses in the first round of the playoffs. Like I believe that they will.
Yeah. Brent brings up, Malik Willis looks like a terrible 3rd-round pick when you see Brock Purdy drafted Mr. Relevant doing what he's doing. Now it's different.
That's unfair.
Yeah, it's not fair at all. Brock Purdy won a lot of games in college at Iowa State and was, he was
playing big boy football, not at Liberty.
And he was carrying Iowa State. Like he was, mini Tebow for what Iowa State represented and how he was constructed and running that offense.
Well, and what does the 49ers represent? A really good organization that has a really good offensive-minded head coach. You don't have to worry about old Todd Downing.
Well, and he's got good talent.
Yeah, that's the point. You know who they have on the other side of the football? Old Nick Bosa. That dude will destroy. Like that. So there's apples and oranges there. So
and the Niners, the Niners have been in an interesting situation because they have been good over the past several years, but they've also had tank out years where everybody gets hurt and they draft Nick Bosa 3rd overall or DeForest Buckner in the top 6 or whatever to help them. And then they've had years where they've gone to the Super Bowl or made a deep run.
What do you prefer? This is a good question. Do you prefer being more like the 49ers where you just have those terrible years where it's December 16th, Austin, and nobody cares because Jimmy G was hurt and you are one of the worst teams in the NFL, but you're going to get a good pick, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So in the same
Or do you want to make the playoffs and lose every year and draft 23rd?
So in the same time that John Robinson was the GM, the Titans picked, they had the 1st-round pick when he took over. So they picked top 5 with Corey Davis. And then after that, it was 18, it was 18, 22, 19, 29, 22 again. So it was.
Do you want to see if you can get it right?
I know what it is. So
where are you starting?
I'm starting in 2017's draft.
Okay.
So the Titans earned in 2017 the 18th pick.
Yep.
In the 2018 draft, the Titans earned the 25th pick, but they moved up 3 spots to get Rashaan Evans at 22.
Correct.
In the 2019 draft, the Titans missed the playoffs under Mike Vrabel, and they got Jeffrey Simmons at 19.
Correct.
In the 2020 draft, they went to the AFC Championship game and got Isaiah Wilson at 29.
Correct.
And then the year after that, they lost the Ravens in the wild card and got the 22nd pick overall, used that on Caleb Farley.
Correct.
So John Robinson his rosters earned 18, 25, 19, 29, and 22. In that same time frame, the Niners have drafted 7th, 3rd, 9th, 2nd, and 3rd.
And they traded away a bunch of picks.
And then they don't pick this upcoming draft.
Yeah, and they won't pick.
No, they did not pick this past draft because they traded up. The Trey Lance, I believe they went from 12 or 15 up to 3. So again, the Niners have great talent around them because they've had sucky years mixed between NFC and championship and Super Bowl years.
Well, here's the problem though, Austin, is that John Lynch has drafted very well with those picks.
Oh, I'll name them. DeForest Buckner, Solomon Thomas, Mike McGlinchey's a tackle, Nick Bosa. Oh, they also drafted 14th. So they got Nick Bosa and then they went Javon Kinlaw and Brandon Ayuk in 2020. So that's 2 dudes in the 1st round Kinlaw and Ayuk that are making an impact, and then Trey Lance that, we don't really understand.
Which is that could be the red A of what John Lynch represents, right? I mean, that was his risk.
But as great of an insurance plan as Ryan Tannehill was for Marcus Mariota, Jimmy Garoppolo was that for the Trey Lance.
But what's next?
But now Jimmy.
What's next? And I don't want to say this because it doesn't make any sense, but the Titans have to find their Trey Lance. I'm saying they have to find their franchise quarterback. Don't find Trey Lance. I think we don't know enough about him. But the Titans have got to find their franchise quarterback so they don't fall back to 2 or drafting at 6 or 7 or 9 or 13. They need to sustain, draft their quarterback, and draft at 29 or 32.
Yeah, for sure. So again, that's just an interesting situation there. So on the injury front, John Robinson overall does deserve some responsibility for the Titans injury situation the last couple of years. But there are just some things that you're just looking at and saying, how in the world is this going to happen? Because a guy like Treylon Burks was never really injured at Arkansas. He had his sophomore and junior seasons were phenomenal, productive years at Arkansas, yet he's about to miss his 6th game of his rookie year because he had unfortunate case of turf toe because a guy fell on him. And then what should have been an illegal hit to the face cost him a couple games with concussion at least.
And Jimmy, don't do this. Jimmy, maybe I know it's a different spelling, but don't go get Jimmy G. You're Spider-Man. Tannehill and Jimmy G, I think, are one and the same. We've found out their ceiling. We've seen enough football from those guys.
Yeah. There's another.
So don't do that.
Yeah, Gene says, go get Hyatt and Hooker. Look, Tennessee fans would love for the Titans to draft Jalen Hyatt and Hendon Hooker, but Hendon Hooker's hurt, so that would not be exactly
Hyatt. Hyatt would be a good pick.
So how about this, Zach? This is I can say it now because it's December 16th because we'll talk about it probably in 2 months. Does the new GM change his philosophy on wide receiver prospects?
Yes.
Because Jalen Hyatt did not fit John Robinson. Jalen Hyatt does not fit the offense Mike Vrabel wants.
Right. So they're going to change.
How does that change? Because Jalen Hyatt would probably not be on the board. So again, and no, Jalen Hyatt will not be a top 10 pick. But
I saw a mock draft this morning and it just randomly hit my feed. I don't go looking for mock drafts, especially in December. And coincidentally, you know who they predicted to draft Jalen Hyatt?
The Chargers.
I
saw it too. So let's talk about the Chargers. I've got a stat and a trend in the last 4 Chargers losses that I think the Titans can take full advantage of. But Zach, first tell everybody about our friends at Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai. Oh, I got a shout out, and I saved this, and I'm going to send this to old Payne Bone, the owner of Wilson County Hyundai. Shout out to our guy, Bryson Williams. He thanked us early in the show for helping him get his Santa Fe repaired quicker than they told him it would take. That was us. We responded to a DM, so shout out to Bryson.
Brandon.
Well, maybe he has a different YouTube name.
Maybe so.
But I saw that earlier because I saved it. I screenshotted it. And
there you go.
Wilson County Hyundai helped, and that's great. That's what Wilson County Hyundai does. Whether it's service or whether you're looking for a new vehicle, they've got the Palisade, the Sonata, the Elantra, the Santa Fe. I mean, they've got you hooked up. I mean, that A to Z Sports follower. Again, it's Bryson on YouTube. I'm gonna call Bryson. Right. That's his name.
I believe you, but it's our guy Brandon. I know Brandon. Brandon's been a follower for us for a long, long time. Good dude.
I wish I could share my screen because it says.
No, I believe you. Look, YouTube names.
Does he have an alias? Maybe Wilson County Hyundai helped out 2 different A to Z Sports followers, Bryson and Brandon. That's where we're going.
There we go.
Wilson County Hyundai helped out Bryson. If you're Bryson or you're Brandon or you're Brandon or you're Bryson, you're going to get helped out by Wilson County Hyundai. That's 100% guarantee. Visit wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Also, download the BetMGM app. Use our code ATOZ Sports. You get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000 on BetMGM. I will go ahead and tell you this. I took Derrick Henry's longest reception over 9.5 yards. this upcoming weekend. So take that. It's right now it's at -110. So pretty good odds there. So Derrick Henry's longest reception over 9.5 this Sunday coming up. But you can get a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000 when you download the BetMGM app and you sign up with our code ATOZ Sports. Visit betmgm.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification, eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable for bets or credit for bets expiring 7 days. For Palm Game Sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789.
Oh,
Zach,
man, yeah, it was perfect.
I was so close.
You were perfect.
You know what I did?
And I don't say perfect, but
you know what I did?
Perfect up until that end.
I got cocky just like John Robinson did. I turned off of my script and went back to the stream on the phone number there, which I usually have memorized. So all right, the question we're gonna ask here, and I'm gonna get some people to go ahead and fill in the chat. What do you feel best about the Titans' attempt to beat the Chargers in LA? What do you feel best about in the Titans' attempt to beat the Chargers in LA? So, Zach, do you want my trend?
Yes.
Okay. I think this is something the Titans can absolutely take advantage of. In the Chargers' last 4 losses, what are you laughing at? Yes,
I'm laughing at this.
the coin toss.
Kevin, that was Andre came in. That's why I laughed. I was like, that was the first comment that I read. We just asked, what's the most positive thing about the Titans beating the Chargers? And Andre's going the coin toss. That was good.
Kevin Byard, I don't know if he's still doing it this year, but Kevin Byard went through a stretch where he was phenomenal in coin tosses for the Titans. But we'll see. Maybe we can have Sam ask Byard next week. So in the last 4 Chargers losses, they have lost to in most recent to oldest lost. They have lost to the Raiders, the Chiefs, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. So losses to the Raiders, Chiefs, Niners, and Seahawks. In those 4 losses, the Chargers defense has given up 687 rushing yards. That's an average of allowing 171 rushing yards per game in their last 4 losses. So what I feel about this game, we saw the Titans run offense be very effective with Derrick Henry against the Jags last week. They had to get
last week in the first half.
Yeah, because they had to get away from it because Derrick Henry had 2 carries in the second half. He gained a total of 2 yards because they were down by a ton and they just couldn't run the football. It was not an option because they were down by 3 scores. But I feel like the Titans have the ability to control the pace of the game if Derrick Henry and the running offense can have success like the Raiders, the Chiefs, the Niners, and the Seahawks. The Chiefs ran for 163 yards against this Chargers defense a few weeks ago. Who's the Chiefs running back?
Edward Slayer.
Well, no, it's the Pacheco guy. Like, it's crazy that the Chiefs don't run the football like that this year. And so I do find that interesting that they give up on average 171 rushing yards a game in their last 4 losses. And, up with the Niners, the Titans are the best running games of those teams. And so I think that is the only real game script where I see the Titans winning this is controlling the pace of play with Derrick Henry in the run game.
Well, and Titans Kyle agrees with you, says their run D is not good, which you just said. Autry is back for Mr. Billy Jones says Henry, no Joey Bosa from Scott. So actually a plethora of different answers. Stopping the run game from Parker, stopping their offense from Greg, Dennis Daly not playing. I mean, this man's given up 7 sacks in 4 games.
Yeah, and by the way, Bosa is on IR, so there is no Joey Bosa for the Chargers this week.
Yeah, they don't know if they'll be back before the end of the season. It depends. Look, the Chargers are making a push to make the playoffs. They're still in the hunt.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think this is redundant, but you're right. It's Derrick Henry. I mean, question about the Titans. Answer: Derrick Henry. I mean, this is what it is, and I think this is where I'm not saying Titans fans are tired of this, but it's kind of wearing thin. The recipe hasn't worked. It's worked to a degree, but now we've had multiple years to see what the ceiling is. And now this year, they don't have the pieces around Derrick Henry for Derrick Henry to be complimented.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's play this from Todd Downing, who talked about this yesterday about the offense and what's fixable and what they're doing here. Because Todd Downing is, enemy number one for most Titans fans and media, but I do agree with Downing in this situation for the most part.
I feel like this group is responding to those types of situations where they can fix this with kind of 4 games left. And I know it's not all fixable, but just those little things that keep on kind of plaguing you guys.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not necessarily all fixable. It's not all broken either. And, that's something that I think the guys are really holding on to right now, is saying, hey, there's a lot of good stuff in there too. Has it been overall good enough? It has not, and that's why we've had the results that we've had. And we're striving to make sure that we're doing those things better at a higher level and a more consistent level. But the guys know who we are, and they know what we're capable of doing, and we just need to get back to doing that.
And so I agree with them that it's not all broken. I think
that was a trigger for, we do this just to see how the chat reacts.
Oh, yeah.
Let's toss Downing up there. Let's toss Downing up there and just see what the chat says. It's halfway sadistic, but I like it.
Yeah, it isn't all broken, guys. But I do think go ahead.
It's not all broken. It's pretty banged up.
It's
a thread. Your confidence level in the Titans offense going out and scoring 30 points is 0 because they've never done that.
They haven't done it this season. Yeah.
So it is broken. I disagree.
I don't think, not all of it's broken.
90% of it's broken. Big deal.
And Danny says not all broken. It's just after the first 2 drives. And let me
say this. This is the analogy. Okay, you've got a bicycle, all right? You don't have any tires, you don't have a seat or any handlebars, but there's some chains there, right? At the bottom. There's some metal. It's useless. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's not all broken. There's still pieces there. The chains still move, but you're not going anywhere. I think Downing, you're wrong. You're right, but you're wrong.
Where I am at, though, is that it's the Titans this season are -2 in the turnover differential. They were +2 going into last weekend, and they turned the ball over 4 times. They haven't forced a turnover on defense since the Denver Broncos game. That's 4 games, right? So my point is they don't turn the ball over a lot on offense. They did Sunday against the Jags, and it ruined the game.
Turning the football over it's like not having a seat on your bike.
You can still stand up and ride, though.
Not very far.
Yeah, you can.
And not down 14.
Actually, when you're down 14 and you're on a bike, you better stand up and run and get more leg.
Well, then they ran out. They got tired.
Again,
they couldn't do it.
But Zach, they had 230 yards of offense in the first half against the Jags. It's not all broken. That was working. Derrick Henry was over 100 yards, over 115 yards of those 230. So they were split. They were basically 50-50 yards gained passing and running in that first half, but they had 2 turnovers that kept points off the board.
But here's the other thing. At halftime, they knew that they couldn't, their bike was messed up. They had turned the football over too many times. Mike Vrabel definitely went into that locker room and said, don't do dumb stuff that hurts the football team, like turning the football over. And then what did they do in the second half?
Jeff Swaim had an illegal block below the waist on 1st and 10 that backed him up inside their 8-yard line and made him in 1st and 22.
The bike's almost broken and you want to go off-roading.
Well, and what I was going to say is, you remember last year how I kept the stats all season long of the opening drive of the game and how bad Todd Downing and the Titans were on the opening drive of the game? I'm going to go back today and I'm going to chart the opening drive of the second half, because that, I guarantee, is going to be uglier than what last year's opening drive of the game was because of stupid penalties like what Jeff Swaim did against the Jags. And then there's false starts, there's holdings, there's so many 3 and outs of negative yards in the to start the third quarter that it's probably going to make people puke. It's atrocious. And so a lot is broken, but they showed us in that first half against the Jags, they can gain yards on the ground and off of play action in the passing game. They just cannot shoot themselves in the face, like I said yesterday again.
It's
typically when Mike Vrabel teams mess up like that, they don't do that same issue of turnovers the next game.
They've had a horrendous, well, I wouldn't say all 10 quarters of play, but they've lost 3 straight games. They got blown out back-to-back weeks. One against a really good team in the Eagles and one against a bad team that took advantage of the mistakes that the Titans did. If the Titans eliminate the mistakes, look, I think the Chargers is a very winnable game. The Titans can go to LA and win. The Chargers have not been, this unbelievable high-powered offense like you kind of thought they could be at the beginning of the season, right? Like going into the season, I want to say that. They have got to play consistent. But Austin, this has been a unique year, right? It's a little bit different than the previous years. They don't have the guys like A.J. Brown that can break out for $141 and take over a game. And Treylon Burks is trending, and I don't know, not playing this week. So the one guy that probably could, besides Derrick Henry, Robert Woods is only going to be able to give you at max 85 yards. That is probably his limit. That's just him being a number 2 wide receiver.
But I think, and again, moving forward after the season, we will raise the expectations. But I think for right now, getting 85 yards out of Robert Woods is what you need. Like, you don't need 140 yards from Robert Woods. Like, I think if you get 85 yards out of Bobby Leaves, then I think you'll feel better.
That's good. Did you just come up with that?
I stole it from somebody on Twitter. I just haven't used it in like a month and a half.
Bobby Leaves. I like that.
And guess what? The leaves are falling. It's December.
Yeah.
What leaves?
They're bare. They're bare.
All over my backyard, killing my grass. And Seats says, force feed Chig. That's the passing game. And we'll see what happens with Chig Okonkwo. He's been a hot topic this week over there at St. Thomas Sports Park. And you're seeing Chig start to stack production. Now, the 3 games that he's been most productive have unfortunately been all 3 losses for the Titans, but Chig Okonkwo is doing some good stuff. Now we got to see it in a game where they can win.
I kind of like Bobby Twiggs too. I think I like Bobby Twiggs better than Twiggs.
I think, too disrespectful about his physical ability. Because Twiggs is a shot, like, people were like, oh, he's got twigs for arms or twigs for legs. That's a little far.
I don't know. Bobby Twiggs.
And Jameson, you can't say Bobby Stumps either, because that's another derogatory
Bobby, please. Actually, BMO's got it. It's Bobby, please. Yeah. It's please play better. Please don't drop the passes. It ain't Bobby Trees. It's Bobby, please.
Bobby Branch.
I like Bobby, please.
Oh man! So look,
I do think the Twigs thing is disrespectful. So yes. I think you explained that.
I think Stumps is even more disrespectful there too. So all right, so we both
Stumps is a good nickname for like your high school buddy, though, right?
Probably.
I also have a great nickname for like that at high school. Usually is when nicknames in college. You get your buddies that create their nicknames. A great nickname, I think, is Sawdust. Like, that is a great nickname. Hey, my buddy Sawdust. I am so disappointed that I did not think of that when I was like 15 with my buddies to not name some guy Sawdust.
Yeah, I don't know what somebody would have to do to earn that name.
I don't either, but I like it. I think it's a great nickname.
I did want to see a comment. Somebody mentioned that, Justin Herbert is going to kill the Titans in the air. I can't find the comment too far up, but I think that's where my That's where my thought of running the football with Derrick Henry to control the game, that's where you can limit the opportunity for Herbert to really take over.
All right, I want to read these and then we're going to get to good news. Greg says the Titans defense is sawdust. Their passing defense is sawdust. Greg, that's a love of the show. I like that. Greg. And then we got Bobby Weeds, Bobby Tees, and then Jesse giving some jackpot bucks, Bobby Shrubs.
All right, so where I guess, am I taking Sam and Jack out to lunch at some point?
Well, yeah. At some point, we got to. Okay. That's why we're stacking the cash.
Sam's lunch money is full at the time being because John Robinson's firing.
It's reached his limit.
So Sam has hit his limit on lunch money allowance, and Jack is now building his jackpot lunch allowance. And then we will go to lunch.
And then when we go to lunch, you just go, we got to take a picture to make sure that it is real.
Yes.
And then it starts over.
Okay. So, but it's just Sam and Jack. Nobody else is going to be able to earn lunch here?
As of now. Who knows?
As of now,
thing could evolve.
Sam and Jack. Okay.
This thing could evolve.
All right. So if you guys want to donate to Jack to join us for lunch, then you can get the jackpot. What'd you call it? Jackpot bucks?
Yeah.
Jackpot bucks. All right. Sounds
hard
great.
to say.
It is hard to say. It's harder than that BetMGM disclosure at times. All right, so let's go ahead and get to Ain't That Good News, Zach. Wrapping up our week to send us to a weekend. Ain't that good news? We want your good news this week here on the show. But first, I'm going to tell everybody about Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers. Sometimes bad things happen, though, as we get ready for good news, and that could be being injured in a car wreck. So if you get injured in a car wreck or somebody you care about, you love, gets injured in a car wreck, you need to help them out and tell them where to go to help turn that bad into a better with Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, because they will recover every dollar you deserve from that unfortunate event of being injured in a car wreck by going to battle the insurance company that you can't fight yourself, but Hughes and Coleman can, because they've recovered over $1 billion. That's billion with a B, dollars for their clients in the state of Tennessee and in Kentucky over the last 30 years, and they will do the exact same for you. They're the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans of A to Z Sports, and they can be for you too if this situation arises. So check them out for a free case consultation. Their phone number is as easy as it gets, 800-800-4600, Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, Principal Office, Nashville, Tennessee.
A to Z Sports, we got some good comments that I'm going to read to. But BetMGM, download the app today. Use that promo code ATOZ Sports. They're the king of the sports book. That's on your Apple or Android phone. They've got you hooked up. Let's get to good news. Real quick, though. Who the hell is Jack from Clayton? Clayton was hilarious. But that's not the funniest one. The funniest one is Orlando saying, Jack never gets sunlight. Take the guy out. So he's right there. And then I think Bobby, he's trying to spend the $400 that I saved on Farmer Health Plans to throw into lunch to take him to Ruth Chris or Fleming's or the Palm or something like that.
All right, so Ain't That Good News here live on this Friday to wrap up our week. And it's what's crazy is that this weekend is just 1 week to Christmas, and it is coming fast. And all of a sudden we're going to blink and it's 2023. So good news from all of you guys. Karen says, we'll see the grandkids over Christmas. That's always great when family comes together right there. More good news. I'm trying to sift through here. Kirk says good news. They'll never have to live through another John Robinson draft. Stephen King says good news having Christmas this weekend with the family. Aaron says his good news, 8 more days until a trip to Cancun, and he's all done with his Christmas shopping. So Aaron's been counting down that Cancun trip for a while now. I didn't realize that it was going to be that Christmas weekend Cancun trip. That reminds me of 4 Christmases. I hope your family knows that you're going to Cancun and not hanging out with them over Christmas. Zach, do you see any more good news?
I haven't been looking at it. I thought you were going to read it, but I will say my.
Yeah, you can go yours. I need a drink of water.
So my Christmas shopping is done. So December 16th, that's good. So I've got that out of the way. But I got good news. Christmas party on Saturday with all my friends. This is it's like a big Christmas party. There's going to be a lot of people there, but it's like all my like good friends and their wives and this is going to be fun. They got a bourbon exchange that I don't know what that is going to be like, right? So I got to go get a bourbon, and also, I think the significant others, the women of the group, they're going to do Dirty Santa, and so like it's Christmas, right? I mean, it's Christmas party, so I'm looking forward to that on Saturday night. That's something I've been looking forward to all week. That's tomorrow evening.
Is there a theme?
I guess Christmas. I actually was gonna text somebody today. I was like, do you wear just regular Christmas
sweaters?
stuff? I mean, right?
You gonna go Cousin Eddie and do the dickie under the see-through turtleneck? Or
it's not like a tacky Christmas party, right?
Is it a fancy Christmas party?
I got to check on that, right? That's what I need. I gotta find that out.
Yeah. So how about I got you a suggestion for is it whiskey exchange, whiskey/bourbon exchange?
Yeah. Yes.
We've had great partners this Vols football season with Log Still Distillery, and they've got a Tennessee whiskey that's brand new, Rattle and Snap. So there you go. You can check that out at your local.
I'll go grab a Rattle and Snap on the way on Saturday. How about that?
There you go.
I used Farnborough Health Plans to keep me healthy, and I used Rattle and Snap to keep me drunk. I mean, it's full circle.
It is good. I've had it. I've taken a couple shots there after Vols' big wins this past season of our Rattle and Snap there, taking some sips out of that. So my good news is, I guess it's also a good news. The Titans play the Chargers at 3:25 after that Christmas party. You get a little extra time to gather yourself. But my good news is big weekend plans ahead for a similar reason, Zach. It's not a Christmas party, but have friends in town that are out of town. Some of our best friends coming in for his birthday, and that starts tonight. So we've got dinner reservations and cocktail reservations after dinner, and then we wake up and we've got brunch reservations, and then we've got dinner reservations Saturday, and then we've got brunch on Sunday. So yeah, it's going to be a stack full weekend for us, but I'm really excited about it. Have a good group of friends together as we approach holidays. It's a birthday celebration, so it's not a Christmas celebration. That'll get started coming up next week, but I'm very excited about what we've got going on.
There you go. That's
all right.
Tis the season.
'Tis the season. That's exactly right. All right, guys, that'll wrap up our week here on A to Z Sports. We got a big weekend ahead because Buck Rising will be live with it. We'll have the 615 Sessions podcast later on today in the A to Z Sports Podcast Network feed. We've got all day Sunday Titans game day. Buck will be live early for that game in LA, and then Zach and Sam will be live on Titan Game Day Live for our pregame, halftime, and postgame coverage coming up for Titans at the Chargers, and also the World Cup. You got a pick for the World Cup final? France, Argentina. It's tomorrow.
I know. 9 a.m. No, it's Sunday at 9 a.m., I believe, right?
Is it Sunday or is it Saturday? I thought it was Sunday.
Argentina. Messi gets his World Cup.
I hope that happens. France got theirs last time. Let Messi get his World Cup. Charles asked, what was the ridiculous stat? Well, Charles, we're about to wrap up the show, and then it'll start over for you, and we get to it pretty quickly in the first few minutes of the show. So check that out, guys, and we will see you on Sunday. Don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel for all of our Titans coverage, including updates from the locker room and the practice facility later on today. Enjoy the start of your weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon. Appreciate it as always.
Adios.